If you've ever wondered how to consistently find motivated seller leads, the kind that turn into profitable wholesale deals, fix and flips, and long-term rentals, then you need to understand distressed sellers. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Zomorodi, co-founder of Real Estate Skills. In this series, we're deep diving into distressed sellers in real estate, who they are, the different situations they face, and how investors, agents, and wholesalers can ethically help them while creating profitable deals. I'm also bringing on a special guest who's a real estate entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience, who's flipped countless homes and runs one of the top construction and investment companies in San Diego. We're going to break down everything you need to know about distressed sellers so you can use these strategies in your own business. Let's get started. Today, I'm here with Henish, who is a local real estate entrepreneur here in San Diego. He's the owner of Cal HomeCo, which is a construction and development company. He's also a very experienced real estate broker, leading a team of over 20 agents. He's been in the business for over 2 decades. So I'm really excited to have him here. We're going to be talking about distressed sellers in real estate. Henish, I know you've worked with tons of sellers in your time in real estate. We were just talking about even a situation. So, we're going to be diving into the different types of distressed sellers, different situations, how to work with them as investors, as real estate professionals. So, let's just take it from the top. What are distressed sellers in real estate?
Distressed sellers are people that are having a hard time maintaining their house or keeping it or making the payments on their house, right? So for various reasons. A lot of it might be a job loss or a health issue, or maybe they inherited the property and they can't maintain it, or they took a bad loan and now it's adjusting, or there's something going on with the loan where they're forcing a situation and they can't afford the payments anymore. A lot of the cases I hear are from people that have a loan, they lost their job, and now they're behind, and now they can't figure out how to make up that loss. And the bank, after a few months, will put you into that notice of default phase and moves ahead the process to get to foreclosure within a few months after that. So those are the basic premises for that. So it's usually someone that's late on their mortgage for various reasons, and there's a dozen different ones, which I know of. A lot of times that's the primary reason. Other cases could be also lawsuits. I'm working with another distressed seller that's been sued and needs money for paying off her judgment from the lawsuit, and so now needs to sell her property to do so. And not like a move up buyer or like, oh, it's a good time to sell. It's like, crap, something happened and I have to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically a financial reason, right? Financial distress that you're finding these homeowners in. They're late on their mortgages. They might have life events that could also come up where they need liquidity. They need access to capital. A lot of homeowners have equity, especially here in California, states that have had a lot of appreciation. So typically they need access to cash. A lot of times these loans are, ticking, and the interest accrues, the fees accrue. So, something happens along the way where they're going to need access to that cash, to answer that financial emergency that they're under.
Correct. Yeah. It just gives them an opportunity to get some cash to move out. And sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. Any way it goes, it's better than having the bank foreclose on them and then not getting money for many months, if at all, afterwards.
Yeah. So is distressed seller the same as a distressed property? Like what would be the difference between those two?
I would say it's the same thing. I mean, typically distressed sellers have distressed properties. I mean, there's times where you see a property that's distressed, overgrown weeds, deferred maintenance, it's in rough condition, but they might be paying their mortgage in time. And to just live like that. Yep. Or it's a rental property and the landlord's kind of a slumlord and never maintains his property, and the renters don't care either. So it might be paid. So, yeah, you could have a distressed property that's not a distressed seller.
Right. Yeah. So there's the financial distress, the personal distress of that homeowner. And then there's also the physical distress of the property, the deferred maintenance, the peeling paint, the overgrown lawn, the roof that's still leaking without any attention to it. So there's kind of those 2 different buckets.
We see them all the time, right? You see those houses with tarps on their roof, and then I look them up. I'm like, are they late in their mortgage? I'm like, oh, they're making their mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. So there's distressed properties that may or may not overlap with the distressed seller.
So yeah, it could be that. Yeah, maybe they're just prioritizing their mortgage, but they don't want to spend the money on the capital improvements, the maintenance. They're like, hey, this house still works. I can still live here. There's no urgency.
Yep.
But of course, you have to make your mortgage payment, or else eventually you're going to get kicked out of the house.
Correct.
Or have it repossessed. So would you say a distressed seller is the same as a motivated seller?
No, no. Distressed sellers rarely want to sell their house.
Interesting.
Versus a
Why is that?
motivated,
Yeah.
well, because they want to keep staying there. They don't know anything else. And a lot of times it's people that either bought their house 10, 15, 20 years ago, took on bad loans, and now the debt's burying them, or they inherited their house and they've been there for a long time. So less so the person that bought their house 2 to 5 years ago and can't make their payment. That happens, but not as often. And 99 out of 100 times, all of those people want to keep their house and stay in there as long as they can. So they're not motivated. So that's where we come in and have to kind of coach these homeowners on what their options are and what's available to them, and if they can keep their house, if that's an option for them. If it's not, I have to exhaust all those options where they are deciding to stay in the property, or they could, or if there's an option to do so, versus you're out of options, you need to sell this thing, or you're going to let the bank sell it for you. Which one do you choose?
Right. And that's very interesting, because a homeowner can be very distressed, financially. And a lot of this is public record. Professionals like you, like myself, we're able to identify the distress that's happening with the homeowner, but they might not realize what their options are, the consequences of inaction. And ultimately, we're able to come in and give them those options and really educate them. So it sounds like, that's part of the process, how you've been very successful working with distressed sellers, is that education component and actually getting in front of them in their time of need.
Correct.
Whether or not they're motivated, right? They want to continue doing what they're doing, but maybe they don't understand the consequences of not taking action and fixing this situation that's happening.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, they're not motivated and they don't know their options, and it's overwhelming, and it's a pain in the butt to deal with customer service at the mortgage company. They're spending hours on hold, new people every time, send in more paperwork. We lost the paperwork. Try sending it again. We need you to fax it to us. Who's got a fax machine? Things like that. And so it can be really frustrating for them, especially if they are trying to work part-time or not, or whatever it is. Plus they're feeling they're getting pushed around. So a lot of times we'll take on that responsibility of talking to the bank for them. But the reality is over 80% of people in default end up having to sell within 6 months or so. So, even though all of them want to keep their house, most of them cannot.
All right, so really quick, everyone, if you want to analyze the types of deals we've been talking about with confidence, be sure to download our free deal calculator at realestateskills.com/calculator, and I'll leave a link in the description. It's the same tool we've been using for 13 years to analyze wholesale, fix and flip, and rental deals. Plus, if you want to learn how to wholesale, flip houses, and invest in rentals without spending a dime on marketing, then check out our free on-demand training at realestateskills.com/watch. Remember, both of them are 100% free, and you can grab them down below right now. Now let's get back to the video. So, there's obviously a lot to unpack when it comes to the different types of distressed sellers, different situations. You're working with banks, municipalities sometimes. You're working with, homeowners that might not be in the most clear headspace. So, why is it important for real estate professionals, real estate investors, wholesalers, house flippers, real estate brokers? Why is it important for us to understand the mindset of a distressed seller and ultimately pursue distressed sellers and want to help them in general?
Yeah, people are still people. Whether they can pay their mortgage or not, it's still a person having a tough time. And there was probably a time in their life when they were better off mentally and financially and emotionally, and now they might not be. So I try to treat people like as if they were my own family, right? So hey, what can we do here to help you and make you understand this? And I think that goes a long way with creating rapport and trust with that homeowner. Right. Mm-hmm. When they know that I'm not coming in as a hotshot investor with a fancy car and a suit and stuff like that, saying, hey, you need to do this and that and listen to me, because I've heard that from the sellers. Hey, we met with these other people and they're really rude to us, or they're really demeaning to us, and I could tell they look down at us and stuff like that. Versus me, I'm at their same level. I'm there to be an advisor and a counselor and share my experience with them and give them some options. And I think creating that rapport allows them to have faith that I'm going to help them out and make sure that nothing happens to their property that isn't their decision, right? But my goal is to share what I know so they can make an educated decision on how to move forward on their property.
Right. Yeah. So, you coming in with options, ultimately, you can help them keep their property, come up with a plan so that, ultimately they can reach their goal, whether it's staying there, whether it's selling, whether it's moving on, like just having that conversation and not seeming above them. You can actually understand and really diagnose a situation before you prescribe something, right?
Correct.
So, and that's truly what a real estate professional does, right? So
absolutely.
that's really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my first question when I meet a distressed seller is, hey, tell me what happened when you missed your first payment. And then they'll get to tell me their sob story, and I get to empathize with them a little bit because I've heard them. And additionally, I can empathize further because I know friends and family that have had distress problems with their mortgages, right? Especially during the last recession 15 years ago or so, a lot of people lost their houses, and so it was hard not to know a few people that had that have had that happen to them. So then I think they can feel that. Okay, cool. I can tell that you have had experience with this, right? And in addition to helping almost 5 people a month postpone or stop or prevent their foreclosure, and in some cases it's a delay, and in other cases it's permanent because they're selling their house.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to learn more about how to start and scale a real estate investing business, just go to realestateskills.com to learn more.